afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday and happy Veterans Day, everybody. I want to thank all of our veterans today for your service. I have one of my favorite veterans here in the studio today, one of our favorite Marines. We have author E.D. Eric Testerman here to celebrate our Veterans Day today. And we have a wonderful show lined up. I cannot wait to get into the show. And I also see Long Island Bigfoot. Thank you for your service too, Mike. Mike is also a military vet as well. I know a lot of y'all in this chat today are probably military vets. And I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for your service. So yeah, I sent my son to school today with pictures of his grandparents, his great grandfathers, his uncles, everybody that has and great grandfathers. Okay, like pictures of everybody. My mom actually helped me. She wrote like their, where they were stationed, what wars they fought in, and all this kind of stuff. So I sent him to school today with a folder full of pictures. He actually dropped one. I found it here after I took him to school. But yeah, he's doing his celebration today. My son is a diehard Marine in the making. Okay, that's what he plans to do and be when he graduates out of high school. He's still got a while, but that's his plan. So, so shout out to everybody who has served our country. You guys make our lives much safer, and for that, and many other reasons, I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Okay. All right. Well, if you guys remember, I guess I was in the Molena Bigfoot. I was in it to win it. The Molena Bigfoot Festival this weekend. Gosh, I had the best time. I know we talked about it briefly on Saturday night. I was so tired. Oh my gosh, when I did that show, I was exhausted with Dennis, but we had a really fun time. We were talking about the Alba Twitch on Saturday. And I did get into the festival a little bit, but I got to tell you guys, I got some really interesting reports, Bigfoot reports when I was there, possible Dogman reports as well. And I didn't talk about all of them Saturday night. I didn't get a chance to. So we're going to talk about at least one of those really, really interesting ones today, because it actually is the exact same report of that, but decades later. Okay, that same exact location. Okay, same exact circumstances, and both of the groups were Marines too. One of the guys, they're both Marines, both sets, but decades apart. In the Alabama woods, where I went with the Cryptid Warfare Operators to go investigate that Dogman encounter out there, which turned out to be, I think it was more. We had Bigfoot activity that night. We were out there. But same exact thing happened to those guys back in the 90s at the same location. And I just found out, and I just met Scott DeForest. Okay, Scott DeForest, he's with BFRO here in North Georgia, had the same exact encounter. We're going to talk about it today. And we're also going to talk about Eric's trip to the Pythian Castle in Missouri today. He went this past weekend. Y'all, it's another castle. We've talked about America's castles, especially in terms in regard to the possible potential human resets that we might have had, maybe of the mud flood, the Tartarian architecture, and the castles here. And he visited a castle in Missouri. It's beautiful. I've got some pictures of it. We're going to talk about that today. And man, he's been going over some audio and video recordings today. He's got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. So you guys, if you would like to follow along with all of my shows and go through my archives, you guys can visit my website, thecryptidhuntress.com. You can also just go to my YouTube channel as well. But yeah, thecryptidhuntress.com calendar of events is there. The next event that I have, I believe, is going to be in East Alabama coming up. We've got the East Alabama Town Hall, the Bigfoot Town Hall, with M.K. Davis, Tyler Howell, Flat Rock, Stacy Brown Jr., and Dale Boswell. Man, Chris and the guys from Squatch Seekers of the South were at the Molena Bigfoot Festival over the weekend. And man, those guys are awesome. They're the ones that are putting this on. So you guys go show your support. Go follow Squatch Seekers of the South over on Facebook. And if you're in the area, y'all come see me. Okay, come see us. Y'all, you don't want to miss MK Davis. Okay. You don't even have to come see me. Just come see MK. All right. And Stacy and Dale and Tyler and Flat Rock. I know y'all want to come see me too, though. Okay. So, but anyways, that's going to be a fun event. And so, yeah, be sure to come do that. And also, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have a Patreon. Just go to the Cryptid Huntress, look me up on Patreon, and thank you to all my members. And of course, I got my shop. It is Christmas time. If you guys are looking for a nice gift, y'all go over to Werewolf Goods on Etsy for all of your shopping needs. Also, before I finish up my business today, I do want to recommend also relicsbooks.com. That is John Vendeventer's books, the Relic series, Nepal series, the Shadow Chaser series for the kids. John is not feeling well. He's been having some health issues and won't be able to come back and join us for any more shows for the rest of the year. And I love John so much, and I'm sending him all my love. You guys lift him up in prayer and send some good healing energy to him. And be sure to check out his book series as well. Great books. And also we got E.D. Testerman's books. We'll have him talk about those today too. He is an author and writes some really cool books. Let me introduce him. Get him on up here. Okay, so on this episode, we're going to be discussing his weekend trip to the historical Pythian, it's either Pythian or Pythian Castle in Missouri. This huge building was once plagued by torture and self-deletion. I guess that's the way you got to say it on YouTube. And is now infected with violent spirits who seem to mimic the living and deliver fatal premonitions. Okay, so we're going to hear about that. We're also going to talk about those reports that I had from over the weekend. Please help me welcome to the show our friend Eric E.D. Testerman, who is an author, a veteran as well, one of my favorite Marines, like I said, and his doggies. He's here. Welcome to the show. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Gary. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jessica. To all you veterans out there, happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. For those who served before I did, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve my great country. I appreciate every single one of y'all.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for your service, Eric. I am so tickled that you came to join us today on Veterans Day. And yeah, I wanted to pay tribute to you. I asked you before the show to send me some pictures so that I meant to show them before I brought you up, and I forgot to pull them up. But you spent a lot of time in service, and you have seen some combat yourself, and have been overseas, and so I just wanted to thank you. Okay, thank you for that. I got a couple pictures here. Look at this young man.
At me, 20 years old.
20. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you again for your service. It means the world to me. I know that you and your brothers and sisters have definitely kept us safer throughout the years and made our country what it is today, which is beautiful. Okay, beautiful. And I feel safer knowing that I am surrounded, especially in the woods when we're doing Bigfooting, with a lot of veterans, actually. So that's awesome. All right, so happy Veterans Day, everybody. All right, well, you had something really cool going on this past weekend. I would love to hear about it. Is it the Pythian Castle? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Pythian Castle was built by the Knights of Pythias in 1913. It was not actually a lodge. It was actually a home for widows and orphans or retired members. In 1942, the U.S. Army came in and told them they had 30 days to move out, and they took over it. And then I think it was 2001, if I remember correctly, the current owner bought it, and they still do venues. But I mean, they've done, back when the Knights of Pythias owned it, they done weddings and other stuff there as well too. It's a remarkable place. Now, they did have German, Italian, and Japanese POWs there during the war. There was a place for women's military corps whenever the military took over it. They also, during World War II, took care of burnt World War II soldiers there.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of history there.
It has a lot of history. Well, I was curious because, you know, I talk a lot about the Tartarian architecture around the country and the maybe some castles that are all over the country that have been used as hospitals, insane asylums, prisons, and even universities as well. But it seems as though the date of this is in the early 1900s. So this wouldn't be an actual castle from a long time ago unless it was founded in the 1900s, right?
No, it was actually built by Knights of Pythias in 1913. They took the old Romanesque revival style and the Gothic revival style to create this castle here. And it has so many different stuffs. I mean, it's honestly, if y'all get a chance and you got a little extra cash to go do a paranormal tour there, I highly recommend it. You won't be disappointed. Even with the large group we had there, I have so much stuff. I was all the way up until the show. I was going through videos, and I've still got hours of videos to go through and hours of audio to go through. So yeah, it's you won't be disappointed. I mean, I think I don't even know how many unheard EVPs I've gotten. You know, I've caught. I mean, I've caught a from what I've went through already a lot of them, possibly a figure in the window that came out, looked at me, and then ducked back in. You know, I've got orbs, gosh, man, that I know of. I think around somewhere between 20 and 40 orbs I caught that night. And some of them I can actually say is an orb because it was physically viewed going through somebody, and as we caught it on camera. So
going
those
through
there
a
to me,
person? Went through like a person? Oh, do you think they might have been possessed by something? Hopefully not. Did they act weird after it happened? No.
No,
Okay, good.
no.
Oh my god.
Now, like, there's one time I felt a presence in the closet. I was sitting in the chair, and I panned my camera over to it because I was like, "Who's in there?" I could feel somebody's in there. And right when I said, "Who's in there?" I could feel somebody in there. An orb shot out of that closet.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah. I remember seeing this episode. There was an episode of Ghost Adventures. I know there's this is really funny because I've actually was thinking about this when we were talking before the show. There's like two camps because there's people who just really love Ghost Adventures, and then the other Ghost Hunters. Okay, it's like Ghost Adventure, Ghost Hunters, and I'm a Ghost Adventures girl, and you're more of a Ghost Hunters kind of guy. Okay,
Yeah.
it's like the camps. Okay, when it comes to the shows, and I remember Ghost Adventures went to this castle. I don't remember exactly what all happened, but I do remember them going there, and I was always just really curious about castles, you know. And now we're talking about, like I said, I talk about these castles all over the country, but I don't know. There's something about castles. They just seem to be more haunted. You just assume they're going to be haunted, right?
Well, you got to think. I mean, this one here, for instance, you know, you got to consider there was POWs there, there was widows and orphans there, people passed away there, there was military, you know, hurt military men. Like a very common thing we got at night there was burnt, you know, or was a very common one, which they housed a lot of burnt victims from World War II there because that was the only place in the area that could actually had the facility to take care of these burnt veterans coming back from the war, you know, from being hurt in war. Um, so yeah, I mean, it would stand to reason. You know, there's just so much death and so much stuff like that there. There's a reason why that place is haunted, and then you got to consider too with paranormal limestone and waters like tubes and granite, you know, all that stuff is some of the greatest conductors you can have for paranormal. What does Missouri have? We have tons of water, tons of limestone, tons of granite. And that building is built from that stuff. I mean, it's like a big superconductor. And it's got water that runs, you know, that like down in the tunnels, it was wet in the tunnels. There's water dripping in the tunnels. So you got all that, you know, put in together. It's just, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a magnet.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. My question is, are there any cryptid reports around this castle that you know of?
There is cryptid reports in Springfield. In different
Okay.
parts of Springfield. There has been Dogman and Bigfoot sightings in Springfield, Missouri. So, as far as around the castle itself, I cannot say for sure. I just know that there is reports of them in Springfield itself. So it'd be a good possibility. I'd say, yeah.
Okay. Well, the organization that put it there, what did you say they're called again? The Pythian
They were they're
Pythian
Knights of Pythias.
the Knights of Pythias. Okay. I
Yeah.
would I'm just going by my research and for through historical records. A lot of times big houses like this are put in certain areas on purpose. Okay, like they're on a
Mm-hmm.
ley line or something, maybe. I don't know what the Knights of Pythias stand for. I don't know exactly what they do, but I'm wondering if maybe, just maybe, they put this grand, beautiful building on top of some sort of a ley line for some sort of a, you know, I'm not going to say ritual purposes or anything, but I don't know. For some reason.
Well, I mean, it's possible from what they tell. Um, they are not much different than us Masons. They're about community, charity work, peace and love. That is what they were about. But honestly, I don't know enough about that fraternity because it's another all male fraternity as well. I don't know enough about them. I just know that the castle was built as a home for widows, orphans, and retired Pythias members. So
Okay.
like when they got their elder years and wanted to retire from the job and wanted a place to live, they lived there up until
Oh,
the
right.
military kicked them out.
Oh, until the
They
military kicked him out. Yeah.
hate to say that, but that's honestly true. What happened to them? That's why they lost it. The military kicked them out and said, "Government domain. We need this land." That's
Oh
exactly
my
what
God.
happened. 1942.
Oh, well, that kind of stinks, but it happens. What is that like? It's like what the power companies do now, the eminent domain, rule. I guess like a rule of law. I don't know. I remember when I worked in the state for the state of Georgia, and I was in the Capitol all the time. And one of my a good friend of mine, someone who I worked for actually, she was a lobbyist and she worked for the power companies, and she would actually push and try to get legislation passed for eminent domain. And I always thought, man, that's a horrible thing to do to people, is to kick them out with, to me, it's just like government overreach, in my opinion. But I always
Yeah.
had to keep my mouth shut back then because I had a job, it's like couldn't really complain too much about it. But I think it's wrong, kind of in a way. So,
It is.
um,
I agree.
but
Yeah.
that's yeah. But okay, so you had some interesting activity there, though, and including potentially a little kid kind of messing around
Yeah.
and playing with you, right? Yeah.
Petey Petey was playing hide and go seek with me. He was wanting me to chase him, and I had to tell him, I was like, dude, I'm a little old, fat, and crippled, be running around, but I said I can waddle good, and he didn't like it because he wanted me to play with him. And there's the paranormal task force is the paranormal team that's usually in there, and they're the ones that help with do the tours and stuff. And they do a lot of investigations there. So when I was there, I have these little cat balls that light up when you touch them. And I love those things when it comes to paranormal investigation because it's something very cheap and very easy to use. And it seems like ghosts like them. So I was putting one on a set of blocks, and then I was putting another one on a rocking horse. And when I went to that rocking horse, it said Lightning. I said, "Is that the horse's name?" And yeah, his horse's name is Lightning. So I was like, "Well, hello, Lightning. Nice to meet you. How you do with young kids? I mean, these are little kids, and people seem to forget, even though they're ghosts, they're still kids. They still have that kid mentality. So that's how when you are approaching a child entity like that, you always have to keep that in mind. He is still a kid. Uh, so that's how I approached it. So what do you do when it names his favorite horse or toy? Well, you interact like it's a real living thing, just like the kids do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you're going to have a lot more activity and a more positive activity interacting with them that way than you will be just like, oh, it's just a ghost. No, you got to treat it like it's still a living human. And this is. I mean, I was getting stuff that them investigators were going, dude, we've never caught stuff like this. You're like nailing this stuff, getting it in, and this is how you approach it, you know. So, and that's what happened. But I mean, I've got him on EVP, you know, want me to run and come here, and then I went to leave. He's like, no, come back, you know, and so I mean, I've got so much interaction with PD, and I did with veterans there too. I was able to connect a lot with the veterans there as well, and
Really?
I would sing cadence, and you know, when I asked it, do you want me to sing a cadence, and they're like, yeah. So I would sing cadences to them, and I was getting reactions with them. And then, like, I was talking to one that they call Boots down in the tunnel, and we were talking about things that we witnessed during the times of war, and you know how it's sad in things that we you know we witnessed, and it's like I said, I understand if you don't want to talk a whole lot. You know, there's several in here don't understand what we've been through, and he said yes. So
Mm.
I was having very positive interactions with a lot, and they're like, "Dude, we've never had Mr. Boots interact with somebody as much as he has with you."
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say tunnels?
hmm Yeah,
So
there's
there's
actual tunnel
tunnels.
go from over to where it's now it's the Army Reserve, and that is where they housed the German POWs. Was in this little building out there on the Army Reserves campus now, and they blocked off that tunnel. So on the Pythian side, it only goes so far before the military bricked it up. Well, I stuck a camera up there and was recording some, and because they was telling us that, hey, we're in here. You know, I've had them say, as like, you know, I was talking about how it's draining all my energy of all my stuff, you know. So, like the
Mhm.
last hour, I had no video because it drained every bit of electricity in all my devices. And,
Oh.
but I was able to catch it saying, yeah, we're gathering energy. So I've actually got them telling me that. And that was down in the tunnel.
So confirmation. Wow. You know what? I just cannot get this thought out of my mind. Okay, because we were talking about the POWs, and um, I just want to make one quick note because my granddaddy Henry, he went into the army when he was 17. He lied about his age so he could go fight in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the 88th Infantry Division, and he
Mm-hmm.
he went to Italy actually, and his job
Mm-hmm.
there was to guard the POWs. And
Yeah.
he said that he was just a kid himself, and he played
Mm-hmm.
the harmonica. And I remember because you had mentioned saying the cadence to them.
Yeah.
All right, so when he was in Italy, he said at night the POWs would cry. A lot of them would cry out for their mamas. He said,
Yep.
and he would take out his harmonica and he would play music for them because I mean, he said that they were actually really nice kids. They were just kids like he was,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that he honestly felt sorry for them, and so to soothe them to make them, not feel so horrible, he would play his harmonica and it would kind of calm everybody down. And he said that he would do that just about every night. So,
Yeah.
um, anyways, I'm about to cry. Okay, so let's change subjects here. But
No,
that is if I were to go into a place like that and I knew there had been POWs, I think it's a good
mm-hmm.
idea to play a harmonica or do sing cadences and do things like that because it's going to be familiar to them. Okay, and
Exactly.
yeah.
And that goes along with what I was talking about earlier. You got to treat them like they're still human. Okay. And so when I'm doing paranormal investigations on a place, I'm trying to get to understand what's there. And so that way I can interact with them on the same level that they want to be interacted with. Now, you're going to have grumpy ones, which we had that night. You got some that are pretty powerful. Like there's one shot. Oh man, I wish my camera was still working, but it was dead. It literally said, "Look in here," and it was a hole in the brick wall. And this is down in the tunnels. And I wasn't able to catch it, but there's freaking fingers that came out from that hole, from the other side of that brick wall. And I
What?
was like, out of all the freaking times that it drains the juice in all my stuff, and I'm not able to catch this. So sadly, I can't say that's evidence. It's just it's a personal experience we had because I had no way of capturing it. And I was like, oh, dude. But you're going to run into that when it comes to paranormal investigations. And people don't realize when it comes to apparitions, apparitions are rare. Okay. You'll get your shadow and your fog, which is going to be more of the common ones when it comes to apparitions. Like a full body is extremely rare. 90% of what you're going to capture on a paranormal investigation is going to be EVPs or something moving or touching something. Far as your foggy figures or your shadows or your full body apparitions, those are going to be rare. The full body is the most rarest one. So when you actually have something like that happen and you're like, I can't back it up because it drained the juice. I have no way. It's like, oh, so now you have to chalk that up to personal experience.
Oh, okay. Well, just be glad that it didn't drain the batteries from your flashlights too, because wouldn't that have sucked if you'd been down there with those fingers coming out? You didn't have a flashlight?
I don't normally take flashlights with me.
Do you have like a night vision device or a FLIR or thermal or anything?
Yeah, my camcorder has night vision on it.
Gotcha.
I like lights for certain situations, but usually on paranormal, I don't like them because the light can take away from a shadow. So the reason why I get them from time to time is because I don't have a light shining on it, drowning out that shadow. So I don't use lights very often.
You know what? We try not to use lights at all when we're out in the woods doing our Bigfoot research. We don't use them at all. The last time we had a flashlight out there, my son was with us. We were just doing like a small, like miniature kind of, like I want to say like a hunt. We just went on a hike at night, and we let him take point so that he could turn on his headlamp because we don't like having the lights, but so that way it didn't, bug the rest of us kind of with the lights and everything. So he went ahead. I was right behind him, of course, but we let him do that so that he could have that light to feel safer. Okay, because as a kid, it's got to be scary. He was pretty tough to go out there to begin with, but to let him go out there with no light, that wasn't really fair. So it was like let's put him point. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm the same way. Now, if I'm wanting to get out of the area, then I'll shine my light. So I have different kinds of lights. I've got some really bright ones I used while I was in the military. I've still got an old mag light. If I'm going to use a light during a paranormal deal, then it's usually that mag light. Just because it doesn't emit as much light as like my Surefire does or my Split Fire does. Them things will light up an area like it's daylight. My old mag light, it's a dull yellowish light, and therefore it doesn't drown out near as much as the other ones do.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from Chicky Blue. No fires, you said before, Jessica. Sometimes we don't have fires. Sometimes we can't have fires because where we go, they have fire bans. Depends upon how much rain we have or how dry it is out there. When we're out in the woods, we can't start a fire a lot of times. Lately we've been fine. We've been able to have fires everywhere we go. It's been raining a lot. Okay. But sometimes not. No, we designate an area for a base camp out there in the woods. And so the base camp has a fire. Usually we have fires out there, a campfire, but not, we're all over the place when we're out in the woods. So we go off hiking. But most of the time we do have a fire somewhere at one spot. Yeah. But yeah, when I say we wander off, like we break off into small teams and then we wander off down trails and go off trail. And that's where we try not to have lights. And if we do, it's like a red headlamp or something. So yeah.
The red light's really good. Red light will light up an area and it's hard to see at night. So if you're actually trying to hide from somebody, blue light or red light's the absolute best, but you can still see it at night. It's just a lot harder. And that's why the whole point of the red light deal is because it's so hard to see at nighttime. So, they're very good things, filters to use. Blue is another good one. You can see blue better at night than you can red, but it's still another one of those that's harder to see. So if you're going to be walking around, if you got a red lens or a blue lens, that's what I recommend using if you're wanting to keep a light content down to not disturb something.
Yeah, I prefer the red. If I use anything, it's red. That way it doesn't bug all the animals out there. And we're not, I'm trying to go out there and be as less seen as possible. Okay. And noticed. So Yeah, we even wear clothes. Listen, we wear clothing that doesn't even make noise and stuff too. You know, like you don't want to be out there in like one of those vinyl like raincoats going choo, 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 like making all that
No.
noise and your shoes squeaking and things. Like I personally and most people on my team, we dress to be very quiet. Okay, so
Mm,
we're not bringing any attention to us. Okay, so because that's
yeah.
not what we want. I mean, I guess
Well,
with ghost hunting, would you do the same in ghost hunting? What or not?
yeah, because for one, you don't want to wear clothing that's going to drown out an EVP. So the difficult thing about Saturday was because there was so many people there. I mean, Saturday was a great baseline investigation to get a feel of what this place is actually about. The downside to it is because there was such a large group there that there's several things that I can't say, man, this sounds like an EVP, but because of the noise, I can't definitively, so I can't count that as evidence. And I've had to pass up on a lot of that kind of stuff because there was just too much background noise. And if I can't say yes, this is an actual sigh, a whisper, a hi, or a word that was caught on audio instead of with our naked ear or the EVP machine that we was using, I have to throw it out. I can't in good conscience say, hey, I got an EVP when it's got that. And then of course you gotta also consider with a large group, they can drown out EVPs because a lot of time an EVP that you catch on a machine is more like a hi. So it's a whisper. It's a hi, yes. So they're hard to capture. That's why I always tell people you got to have good ear covering headphones, and you got to have your volume turned up, and you got to have uh,
Patience. You gotta have patience.
patience. Yeah, you got to have
Listen to all
any.
that.
You got to cut out all noise that you can cut out because a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff, which I've caught just on the few videos I've done so far, from what I can pretty much say is EVP hits is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Like,
14, 15 things out of 14 videos so far that I was able to separate out and go, this is, I'm pretty confident in EVP. I'm sorry, no. One of them, I counted one extra. So subtract one off of that because one of them was the figure I seen in that window that I caught on. Because I always, whenever I'm doing even cryptid investigations, I like to keep a GoPro on my back because you'll be surprised what you capture behind you. You're more
mhm.
likely to find something behind you than you are in front of you. So I have a little GoPro. I put my no, I didn't. Right here. I haven't had a chance to put it up. One of these things here has night vision on them. Sadly, every time I do paranormal investigations, they know how to shut these things off or shut my dang night vision off, and it's aggravating. I can go cryptid hunting, the night vision will work, and it'll stay on all night long. Paranormal, they love shutting things down. This little thing here, I clipped to the back of my strap, and I have that recording behind me. And this is so far. That's I went through all the videos from that one there, and that was all the EVPs and stuff I caught that I didn't hear. Uh,
Ooh. We have an
that's
interesting question too. Oh, I didn't mean
uh-huh.
to interrupt you, Eric. I'm sorry. We have a really interesting question here from Larry saying, have we heard of a higher percentage of reports along the 33rd parallel of cryptids? Now, that actually runs through Georgia, I think. I'm looking
Mhm.
right now. Let me see if I can pull this picture
33rd
up.
parallel
Uh-huh.
has so much paranormal cryptid and UFO activity, it ain't funny. A lot of like your cattle mutilations, your livestock mutilations is along the 33rd parallel. The 33rd parallel comes right not far from me here in the southern part of Missouri. But if you follow that, there is so much paranormal cryptid and UFO things that happen along that 33rd. I actually did a show on that, so it's kind of interesting you brought that up. It's still kind of fresh in
So,
my memory.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of it.
Oh, here we
I
go.
don't.
keep trying to save these pictures and they're not saving for some reason. It doesn't want me to show everybody.
I might still have mine. Give me a
I've got
second here.
this one. It's coming. It just takes a minute
Okay.
for me to get these up. 33rd parallel. I don't know. This one actually shows, it looks like Arkansas and Missouri, actually. Let me see.
Yep.
And that looks like Louisiana, actually. That's Arkansas and Louisiana. So it must go through there. That's the only picture that I could pull up right there. So it runs kind of through there. Okay, so if that's the 33rd parallel, that would run straight through the troop herd corridor too, where we have all that activity, where my team does research. If you keep going straight towards Georgia, that way, if you can see my fingers, go towards Georgia. That's where we do a bunch of research. That's where the Molena Bigfoot Festival was too this weekend, where they have the Elkins Creek Bigfoot down there. A lot of mass alien abductions happen down there. All sorts of weird stuff. A lot of Indian burial grounds.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I was wrong. It was the 37th parallel I was thinking about. I just looked at my notes. I was talking about the 37th parallel. It has all the paranormal, cryptid, and UFO activities, which goes through Missouri and goes through Duluth, New Mexico. My bad. I seen that 33rd, so that's why I was like, oh man. Okay, never mind.
Okay, yeah, it goes straight through the troop herd corridor, 100%. I'm about to pull up a better map so everybody can see it. This is a better map. It goes through the lower half of the U.S. for sure. Great question though, because I think that these latitude, longitude lines, all these, the 33rd parallel, ley lines too. I think ley lines are very important when it comes to places that have high strangeness and a lot of activity on them. This is the 33rd parallel right there, the red line. I don't know what the blue line is, y'all. I'm sorry. I have no idea what that is. I guess it's just kind of the outline of where the states are. I don't know.
Yeah, what's cool about ley lines is like a line between one point and another. But if you actually lay the ley lines down, what they follow is the energy grid of the earth. So that's why a lot of people love ley lines because it actually follows them points. And if you actually look at a lot of ancient structures, they're built upon very high energy locations. And then you'll notice that, and that's how the ley lines go with it, because it, like I said, it follows the power grid of the earth. And the ley lines will almost match perfectly on top of those.
Wow. Yeah, Pyramid in Egypt and Roswell crash are on the 33rd. Thanks, Moondog Davis. Wow. Okay. Well, that's kind of a big deal. Okay. So interesting. Lots of high strangeness there. So I did not realize that goes straight through Georgia, right there where I do a bunch of research too. So I guess I should have known that.
Yeah. It explains a lot. Yeah.
It does. It does. I'm trying to think of what else we got. And it's not too far from, I mean, I can't say everything. Listen, my locations of the different places that my team researches, I can't give the locations away. So I look at maps sometimes and I'm like, oh, oh, but I can't say it. And I'm not saying that map says that, but I'm saying like ley line maps and stuff. And so yeah, just know that a lot of the places that my team researches are on ley lines and stuff. Okay, I do know where the ley lines are for the most part. And I actually have a friend that has traveled all over the country plotting down Indian burial mounds and the ley lines, and she's actually plotting ley lines and stuff like new. I don't know if they're not new ley lines, but maybe newly known and stuff. I'm not even sure how that works. But she's been traveling all over, and she's a government contractor. Okay, so and this was a year ago. She was doing all that, working with I think she might have been working with Space Force. Just saying. Yeah, but it makes you wonder, why?
I need to look into this 33rd. I've done a deal on the 37th because the 37th, something about that 37th parallel. Holy cow, that thing is chock full of stuff. And that's why I did a show on it. So I need to look because, seeing this stuff here and hearing your guys' stuff on the 33rd, I definitely need to take a look at that.
Yeah. Okay. So Abbott says, and NASA JPL is on the 33rd parallel at Devil's Gate Dam. where Parsons and Hubbard did their Moonchild ritual before the building, NASA JPL, my hometown of La Canada, California. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Barry, what's up, Barry? Barry has a question. What do you do if the earthbound spirits of these haunted tourist locations beg you for help because they're trapped there by the land and the landowners? Oh my gosh, that's a good question, actually. Are you okay?
That
Before
is.
answer that, before you, okay, go ahead. You answer it, and then I'm going to say something.
No, you go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's a good question because I've actually I was given a remote viewing target of a very haunted house in Texas where people had to sign a waiver that they were not going to cross over any of the spirits there. And they were like children and spirits that were begging to for help, like they were being held up by like a demon or something. And I just, it broke my heart that would happen. But does this place where you went, do you have to sign a waiver to not do something like that? And just tell me your thoughts.
So it is very common on paranormal investigations. You'll have the spirits ask for help. And this is why it's so important to go through my 360 digital recorder. Because a lot of times I'll get help on my EVP deal. And I ask, okay, what do you need help with? And sometimes a lot of times they won't answer back on that, but they'll answer it on the 360. So that's why every time I do a paranormal, I'm carrying a 360 digital recorder. Here, I'll show you what I've got. This thing works great. And that's if I get a chance to go back to the place to help the entity, I want to help it out. But it's very important because sometimes, I've got one that's wanting me to find its body. His name was Douglas, and he was killed. He wants me to find his body. So I've been trying to figure out where this body of this Douglas guy is.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's
whenever
they're asking for.
But it kind of sounds like maybe something happened to him and his body was disposed of or something.
That is the feeling I got from that. That's why I know the general location of it, but I can't really do much until I get enough evidence. But this is my 360 digital. And this thing here, when I'm paranormal investigating, this is one of my most favorite tools when it comes to catching EVPs. You'll catch a lot with this baby right here. But that's why I painstakingly go through every single video and audios, because there's a lot of times you'll catch them on that. I'll get on here. Let me pop this up for a second here. Get to my recordings. Oh, dude. Wow.
There's a lot of great comments in here today, y'all. Thank you so much. Everybody who's in the chat today, thank y'all so much. A lot of great questions. And yeah,
okay, here we go.
A lot of great comments. Thank y'all.
So a lot of times I'll catch them on here and give it a second here. I don't know if you guys can hear that in there or not.
Hide now.
Who am I hiding from? So you'll catch them on that. But when you go to reply, a lot of times, they will reply back on that same EVP, but a lot of times you won't pick it. It'll only be picked up by a 360 or like my video devices that I use to when I'm out there. So it's important to do that. And when they ask for help, it's important. What do you need help with? And you try to help them out. Now, in places that you're allowed to go back and help them, I try to go back to them places to help them. Sadly, a place like where I was Saturday, that's not the case, And a lot of times people don't understand when you're coming in home. Like I seen a comment Firewater made earlier saying I got slapped on the butt. That wasn't actually Saturday night. I was helping one of my young Marines and his wife because his townhouse in Hawaii on K-Bay where we were stationed was very haunted by something very, very, very negative. And so I was trying to evict that thing out of their house. And I actually got slapped on my butt cheek so hard it left a hell of a big handprint and claw mark on my butt cheek.
Uh-oh.
I got hit hard. But Um, so that stuff does happen. I hate to say it. I mean, I was 21, 22 when that happened. That was a
I
long
got
time ago. I
goose.
did get touched Saturday night, but yeah.
I got my
Um,
booty grabbed out in the field one night when we were doing some research at the meadow. We were actually at a
mhm,
different field in a nearby location, and I was
mhm.
sitting down in one of my field chair, like this little chair that I put in my backpack, and something came up and grabbed my booty, and
Oh
I
yeah,
jumped up like I mean it scared me. It's like I thought it was an
it'll
animal
happen.
biting me or something. Yeah.
But in a place like that with my young private who asked me to come in and help, that is when I have the power to help something there or to evict something there. Okay, if it's not my home, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. And when you're doing a paranormal investigation, you got something that wants help, or you want to get rid of something. The owners of that place are the ones that hold the most power of getting rid of it or helping it. I do
Okay.
not. Now, if they ask me, can you come in and help me with this? Then that's when I now have the power to be able to come in and say, you need to go, or let's help you cross over, something along like that. But until that happens, I can't do nothing. I
Yeah.
can't. I just don't have the power. That little ball I was telling you guys about earlier is this thing here. And this thing is great because I can turn it on and off. But if they touch it, it lights up like that for about 20 seconds. This one's one of the longer lasting ones. It's 20 seconds. I like the 10-second ones better, but it is what it is. But these things here are great for communicating because they can roll it, they can touch it and make it light up. And there's a lot of times in the paranormal research, this here you'll get a lot more reaction than you will other devices.
Oh, those are cool. Those are really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that when I've gone out and done a little bit of ghost hunting, I've done some ghost hunting. I used to ghost hunt with an actual team. I went out a couple of times with the Oxford Paranormal Society out in Alabama. Trade with my other cryptid team is that
Mm.
was on that team and the head of that team. And so Bob Grumpy and I would go out there and go investigate haunted houses sometimes in around Oxford or Anniston, Alabama. Lot of Native
Mhm.
American history right there. And we
Mhm.
caught some really interesting evidence, like big orbs floating, shooting through the kitchens. And this one, the one family I'd mentioned this before we went live, but there was a family that their house was really haunted. Like even one night they had their Christmas tree up, and the Christmas ornament started flying off the tree and crashing on the floor and breaking. I mean, like
Mhm.
flying off the tree. And there was this big chair in their room. And I said, I just felt like there was an old man sitting in that chair. And
Mhm.
something told me there's something with that chair. And I asked the lady, I said, whose chair is that? And she goes, oh, that's my father-in-law's chair. He passed away recently. And my son took, I mean, not son, my husband took the chair. His son took the chair. She goes, oh my God. She was like, now that makes sense. She was like, it's probably, I said, it could be him. I think he's here. She was like,
Mhm.
that makes sense. So she said that I think the activity had not started until they brought that chair into the house.
Yeah.
So, and it
Well,
was sitting right by that tree.
and that's something I try to warn people. Like, I love thrift stores. I love getting stuff at the thrift stores. But you got to understand, you very well could be bringing something in your home unknowingly. Just like going out in nature. Like, I don't pick anything up out in nature unless I get the feeling that I am meant to have this. Because believe it or not, even dealing with fae, if you pick something up out in the woods and bring it home, you can bring something negative into your home by doing that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's something to consider. Is that the extension of the Mason Dixon, the blue
Oh, the
line?
blue
That could
one.
be. Actually, Abbott, that makes a lot of sense because Missouri, well, no, because Missouri was half Mason, it was the Mason Dixon line. So Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Kansas, all that along the area was the Mason Dixon line. Missouri was on it. Um, the southern side of Missouri was Johnny Reb, and northern part of Missouri was Yanks. And so that's how I know. For a long time, Missouri was part of the Confederacy until a short time later, and then it was converted over to the Yank side. And so Missouri's actually on the Mason Dixon line.
Oh, yeah. Um, Okay, I wanted to talk about one other topic today too, other than because this is important because you're here, and I was thinking you came on. We talked about the werewolf reports. Okay, and I don't want to finish talking about this castle too. I want to talk about this a little bit more, but while I'm thinking about it, I don't want to forget. I got a report over the weekend. Oh, and by the way, I do have to pick up my kid at like 2:15 my time. So that's why I'm changing the subject kind of.
You're good.
So I forgot to tell you before the show, but this is my short show because I have to pick up my kid on the weekdays.
No worries.
So so I got a report. I met a guy this weekend named Scott DeForest. He's with BFRO up in North Georgia. Super cool dude. I thought I'd met him before. I could have sworn I met him last year or the year before last. But he said I didn't. I think I did. So, but he gave a presentation and talked about. Well, he didn't talk about this in his presentation because I was talking to my friend Angie, his friend, one of the ladies that put on the festival this weekend, and I was, we were talking about me going with one of my teams up to North Alabama to investigate where one of our guys and his dad and his nephew had been accosted all night by what they thought were a dogman or dogmen up in the woods. And it's in a national forest. It's where we saw that petrified dragon. I know you like to talk about petrified dragons and stuff too. But
I love them.
It was that location. And then Angie was like, well, Scott has the almost exact same story of a place in North Alabama. You need to talk to him too. So Scott told me his story. Not only was it the same type of encounter, it was at the exact same location in the 1990s. And the one that happened with Brian and his dad and nephew, that happened a few months ago. And we went out there that same month with the Cryptid Warfare team to investigate it. And we had Bigfoot activity out there that night. But he thinks, Scott said that he thought it was just really aggressive Bigfoots, which I agree. I think that's what happened too. And the case recently was aggressive Bigfoot. It could have been Dogman. I don't know. But it reminded me.
Yeah. I mean, either one of those is a good possibility. Without visual sightings of one, either of the creature itself or of footprints or something like that, it's hard to say. But both, I mean, it very well could be aggressive. They could have done something to piss them off, and that's why they're doing that. They're aggressive. It could be Dogman, or it could be just an aggressive bunch of them. Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. It's either one. Yeah.
It's
Which is interesting because that goes along with the werewolf investigation I'm on. First encounter 1974. Now, 50 years later, about 4 miles from the same spot was the exact same location, just happened a few months ago that I'm currently working on right now. So, I mean, yeah, I love that stuff.
That's exactly why I wanted to wait to bring this up until I had you on my show so we could kind of discuss that, because I think it's fascinating. Okay. I had never met Scott. Well, I thought I had met him, but he says I had not. So I don't know. Maybe I probably didn't. But we never talked about this before, no matter what. And so I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if it was the exact location, but it was in the same national forest. They had hiked in about 5 miles or so, just like we did, and just like where Brian did and his dad before we went to go investigate it. He said they'd hiked in, they were backpack camping just like us. And he said that they actually sat down back to back with their guns drawn all night till the sun came up. Okay. It was just like Brian and his dad. All right. Like all this stuff was like correlating. It was just, I want to bring Brian on my show too. Maybe even his dad. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can get them to come on soon. I'm actually going on an investigation with them this weekend. I'm going to be out with Cryptid Warfare Operators. We're calling it Operation Gray this weekend. Our last one was Operation Bama Dog. All right. And that's where we went to that. And so this weekend we're doing something different. It's going to be freaking crazy. I can't really talk about it until I get back next week. But yeah, I'm having fun out there. We're gonna maybe go find us some aliens this weekend.
So. Dude, I love this. This is why I do what I do. I love it. I mean, I love I love the investigation part of it. I love to try to debunk things. I love to try to figure things out. It's all a great big puzzle, and I absolutely love working with that puzzle on every aspect of it. I mean, both the paranormal or all of it, paranormal, supernatural, mythological. I mean, the cryptid, every single bit of it. It's one big puzzle, and I love working that puzzle. So when you get pieces to come together, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh yes, I just love it. But I mean, it's a very common occurrence of what you were talking about is not that uncommon. People have instances like that happen so often. So that's why I love it. I was like, dude, that's just another piece of the puzzle put together to complete it, right there. Another confirmation. And that's what I even on everything I do. I love confirmation. When I'm doing investigations, like I just confirmed the face in the wall from that paranormal investigation I did at the Shade Beaver Bar and Grill a little back.
Shade Beaver Bar.
Yeah, Shade
What
Beaver
a
Bar and Grill,
name.
Everton,
Who
Missouri.
came up with that name? That's funny.
But DA had snapped a picture on the wall that looked like a face of a railroad worker. So I was up there a couple weekends ago. I shot a picture from that same angle. Then I shot a close-up picture too. And the fog that was in the original picture and the face that was in the original picture was not there when I snapped the pictures the other weekend. So I was like, I can confidently say we caught an apparition of a worker's face.
Ew,
because I was not able
cool.
to recreate it. Yeah.
You know
So
what?
if I was able to recreate it.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Okay. Have you ever gotten any pictures of orbs that had faces in them? Because I have, like faces with mustaches and stuff.
I haven't. For me, orbs are cool, but they're a curse at the same time. So you got to figure a couple factors in when dealing with orbs. If you're outside, there's 4 entities that could cause an orb. You've got a fae called the pixie, which is being commonly described as being like a firefly. So you have that. You have dust. You have insects, but you also have paranormal. So indoors, you got 3 variables: dust, insect, or paranormal. So I love orbs. Orbs are great. At the same time, they're cursed because they're commonly misidentified as either a dust particle or an insect as well. Like instances where the one went through my buddy's chest. And not only did he physically see the orb go through his chest, but it was caught on video. That's confirmation. That's a paranormal orb. The instance where I turned and panned my camera to the closet going, who's in there? I can sense you in there. I can feel you. And then you get an orb shoots out of that closet. I'm going to lean more towards, and now I can't 100% say it is on that one because it wasn't visually caught. It was all caught on video, but I'm going to lean more towards that being a paranormal orb because it reacted whenever I called it out. And that's when it happened.
It has a mind of its own. What is that? Sentient? Is that what you call it? I mean, it's just it's got it's like a life force in there, like a little soul. I don't know.
They are.
I've actually watched an orb float into my tent out in the middle of the woods, and it just hovered over me, and it was translucent. I guess you call it translucent, and it was about the size of a softball. It was about that big. Okay, I don't know. You can't really tell on screen, but it was about that big. And it just floated there, and it looked like a cell, like like a human cell with like the like the nucleus and everything in it. It looked like a cell, okay, like a human cell. And it floated, and it kind of drifted over me for a little bit, and I thought I was seeing things, and I kept I think I might have even gotten like my eye drops out because I had my like contacts that I could sleep in. I don't want to get caught with no contacts out in the woods if I have to run in the middle of the night, okay. So I had on my and I remember putting in some eye drops to make sure that my eyes, I was seeing correctly. This thing just kind of it hovered over me, and then it floated out, and then we have it on camera floating into the next tent beside me, and came out the other side of that tent. Okay, so it was going into our tents and looking at us and inspecting us. So yeah, interesting.
It was curious who was there. Thank you, the girl in her gong. You're awesome. I wanted to say that.
I was going to thank her. You got to it before I did. Thank you. Thank you. That's Maureen and Gus. Gas money from Gus. Thank you. Gus is my favorite furry moderator, by the way. He's amazing. And so are you, Maureen. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. I could always use gas money.
No,
Probably strips.
these things are awesome. Orbs are awesome. And like I said, I caught a lot of orbs Saturday night. I've actually had one when I was about 15 or 16 playing out here in the yard. I've actually had one shoot from the woods, come right at me. I mean, I seen it. It was a nice, bright white light. To the point that I fell on the ground and slid a little bit because I thought this thing was going to hit me square in the chest. I mean, I was physically watched it leap from my woods and come right at me. And then when I fell to the ground, it shot straight up in the air. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was probably a pixie. I mean, it shot out of nowhere, just shot straight from the woods right at my chest. I fell to the ground, slid a little bit on the ground because I was at a dead run. We were playing hide and go seek tag in the dark. We loved playing that when we were kids. Hide and go seek tag in the dark. And so, I mean, I was just hauling butt trying to run from my brother. And all of a sudden, out of the woods, this thing, I was like, oh, slid on it. As soon as it got right above me, it shot straight up in the air. I mean, and it could have been a paranormal orb too. It honestly could have been. I don't know, but they are real. Orbs are real. You just have to be very, very careful, especially with paranormal stuff, saying this is an actual paranormal orb, because it can be dust. It can be insects. I mean, and that's why I'll tell people all the time, this is a possibility, because I don't want to give me a life to something that's not real. I don't like doing that.
Right. Well, one of the last orbs that I saw out in the field was brown, and it was a flash of brown light. So it was kind of an orb. I call it an orb. It was a flash of brown light, and then I heard this loud poof. It was like a growl and a huff all at the same time, just loud as could be. And me and one of the guy that was with me, we actually, and there were three of us, but he and I both turned on our flashlights because we needed to make sure there wasn't a bear about to charge at us. Okay, so we turned on our lights. It was in the tree line, and we were 100%. I am convinced we were surrounded by Bigfoots. We were surrounded by Bigfoots that night in this field, and we ended up right when I heard that. Within 1 minute, it started pouring down rain. Came out of nowhere. It was so just out of the blue. It was just weird. And it was raining so hard, it was forced us to get in the car and leave, because we were kind of worried the road might wash out. It was raining that hard. It went from being like no rain, everything was cool, the sky was pretty clear, to just a torrential downpour. Now, the place where we were it is a tropical rainforest. Okay, they do classify it as that. So it is liable to happen, but it was just that moment that it happened was just really weird. Okay, because I just seen that orb and then that puff.
Yeah. To answer that, and to Walken's question as well, I cannot confirm or deny that there's actually the color means something different. If you go on the side of the Fae with the pixie, the Fae you have your earth pixies, you have your water pixies, and so forth and so on, and they each are associated with a color. On that side of it, that's about the only thing that I can say. Well, a blue orb could be a water pixie, or a brown one could be an earth pixie, or a green one could be a plant pixie. That's about it. As far as on a paranormal side, I don't have enough evidence to point me one way or another to suggest that there is the color means something different. I've seen white, I've seen green, I've seen blue, I've seen purple, I've seen yellow. I mean, I've seen different color orbs throughout all my investigations I've ever done on all aspects, but I don't have enough to actually confirm that I can confidently say there is a color code to what they are. Besides the Fae. The Fae is the only one that I can.
Well, some people do claim to know, and I gotta say, out of all the years I've been out in the field and we've had all these different orbs around us, I've seen a lot of orbs, little tiny orbs and gigantic orbs that look like the moon. Okay, I've seen some big ones, and I really don't know. I don't think anybody really knows, but a lot of people do associate brown orbs with Bigfoot. I can say I did see that brown orb, and there was that huff. So that it could be, I don't know. We've also been, some of my teammates have been chased through the woods by red orbs that turned into like a triangular formation. Okay. And we've had red lights that were orbs that were in the wood line right beside where I was hiding. One day I was hiding one night, stalking. We were trying to get some Bigfoot activity, and my teammates saw red lights. They thought it was me and my teammate, but it wasn't us. They were sitting it was about 10 feet from where we were sitting in the hiding. So we did kind of associate that with ET activity, actually. So it just depends. And John Fortman, okay, that's a good comment right there.
Yeah.
Sudden storm is very missing 411.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of orb-like things in the night sky that are UFO related. And so look, you take your Bigfoot. You was talking about your Bigfoot deal. They're Shiai Tonka. I mean, they're the elder big brother. They're the first beings. They were here before we were. They have a soul. So when they pass away, if we pass away and we still have a ghostly remnants that comes after, why wouldn't they? I mean, people forget about that concept very, very much. They are a living, breathing, intelligent creature. I 100% subscribe that they have a spirit when they pass away. I cannot dispute that one bit. My opinion, my theory, my hypothesis, but
I love bringing up that topic of, what if cryptids are ghosts too? They can be ghosts, right? I think that I started asking that question back when I had done that remote viewing target of that Fort Pierce Dogman down in Florida. And what this gentleman had opened up his back door, and he was on a Facebook Live. His name was Blue, I think. It was Blue. And he was on Facebook Live, and he was freaking out. He's like smoking cigarettes and stuff. And he was like, y'all won't believe what I just saw. He's like, I'm going to show you. And he opened up his door, and like a dog man ran past through his backyard. But it looked like it was almost like it ran so fast, or it was a ghost or something. It was really odd, because when I remote viewed it, I think I'd picked up on a spirit or some sort of a ghost or something. And so it made me question, well, could dogmen become ghosts? Okay, like it could have been something holographic. I don't know, but
dogmen are known as the first beings as well, the same as Bigfoot. So I mean, absolutely, the possibility of that being there is. I agree. They absolutely can. Like, I did a video on Corey's Encounters, and it was showing how a Bigfoot was manifesting out of nowhere. I'm a pretty big believer that was probably a spirit of a Bigfoot coming about. Now, it did have a talisman, which I'm not one of those that subscribes to Bigfoot using portals. I'm sorry, I'm not. All the evidence I have suggests something completely different. But they do have holy men. And if holy men has the right talisman with the right frequency, and they know how to project it because of their power, that is where I could say, yes, I can see Bigfoot using portals. Because that is, if you study anything in history on portals, it's usually the holy people that can access it without having any trouble. That is also a possibility. But I mean, I've literally watched videos where them things would stop and all of a sudden disappear. They didn't go into camouflage. It's called adaptive camouflage. And so many Bigfoot hairs are clear, just like a polar bear's, that when you stop, you disappear. When I wear my camo, you can see me when I move. When I stop, I disappear. Adaptive camouflage. So I mean, I'm a firm believer. I really think that what Corey caught on his deal was probably going to be more along the lines of a spiritual Bigfoot, but I can't dispute that it was actually a holy one because of the talisman it was wearing around its neck. So it could have been.
Wow. Yeah. It's pretty fascinating. And I did want to make a comment, because I think Robin's in the chat and talked about a black orb that one of her friends had encountered. Well, I've actually seen something that I would not describe it as an orb, because it was more like a black mass. It looked like a cloud, actually. It was really dense, but you could see the edges of it like it was kind of like a cloud or like a really thick mist, but the center looked like it was solid. And it floated out of my
in all light.
Yeah, it floated into my kitchen from my bedroom one day or one night. I think it was at night. I can't remember, but that really haunted apartment I lived in downtown Atlanta. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and it flew up behind me and it shoved me down. Like it literally it was a force that pushed me, and I fell down into my cabinets because I was bent down getting some cat food out for my cat. But it pushed me down, and I looked up, and it went into the closet in my living room. And that place sucked. I shouldn't have ever lived there. But I've seen that before.
My experiences with the black ones, you know, that's why I was going, oh yeah, because you were talking about what happened to you. I was like, dude, yes, because everything I've noticed when it comes to what few black orbs I've ran in with has not been pleasant. It's been very dark, very mean, very aggressive. So that's why you're telling me, I was like, oh yeah, dude, that confirms what I've seen, you know, because like I said, I'm like a kid in a candy store. It's like, dude, there's another confirmation right there. I love that stuff, but that happens. I mean, you will, and they're so black, it's like no light can escape it. I mean, it is just the black and the energy that it gives off. Oh, it's so negative, so negative. Then when them black ones come around. You know,
yeah.
Oh man, you gotta get ready to pick up your kid.
It's not good. Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. As long as I'm out of here in the next 10 minutes, I'll be fine. He won't have to go to the after school program. I won't have to be fined. Oh my gosh. I know that my daytime shows usually don't run 2.5 hours because I can't. But this is amazing. This has been such a great show. And yes, Brown Dwarf just reminded me that today is the 11/11 portal. This is a great day for manifesting, everybody. If you think of just have positive thoughts today. Okay, dream your biggest dream into reality today, and really just stay positive and dream big. Okay, and manifest your highest timeline for yourselves. It's a great time to do it. It is he said 11/11 420 portal. But it is a really wonderful day, a very high energy and good energy. So use it to your advantage. Okay. And it is a Remembrance Day as well. And so happy Veterans Day to everybody out there once again. And to you, Eric, tell the audience, Eric, about your YouTube channel and your shows that you do, even the ones with our friend William Nighthawk on the weekends, and about your books.
So I have my show's called The Bizarre and the Unknown. You can find me on X, Rumble, YouTube. You see that logo, you found me. I'm on different kinds of platforms too. I'm more active on YouTube. It's because I'm just so busy. I've not had time to do a whole lot on my other stuff yet. Yesterday I did a Q&A on the paranormal investigation of the Pythian Castle, because between work and the elections, the investigation, I just not had time to actually set up a real good show. So that's what yesterday's was about. I usually do a Saturday show called Campfire Chats with Eric and guests, and that's a safe place for you to come in to share your encounters. We could talk about it in chat. If you want to come on, I'll bring you on and let you tell, and we'll kind of discuss it. Regardless if I agree with you with your stuff or not, I'm not telling you you're wrong and I'm right, or I'm right and you're right and I'm wrong. I just never, it was your encounter. I was not there. I mean, I don't know. My experiences would tell me something differently. But I believe it's very important to share our stuff and get this out there for the world to understand. And we're starting to see a growth in this community of people being more accepting. They're going, okay, this stuff really does exist. And so that's what Saturday's show is for. Sundays are my more formal shows where I'm actually talking about a subject and going over it. I do release like holiday specials, the truth about holidays and how they came about and what they actually were. Anytime I do an investigation, I put that out on my YouTube as well. And actually, before I forget, 5 days before I went and done the Pythian one, a group had went in there, a YouTube group had went in there and done one too. And I posted that video in my, if you go to my playlist under inspections, it will be there. And that'll give you kind of an idea of what it's like at the Pythian Castle as well. I write different genre books. I love to write. It's hard for me to write, but I love it. And sadly, I started a new book by mistake this weekend. My youngest daughter wants to learn how to do D&D. So we were creating D&D characters. Nice. I'm writing a backstory of mine. And next thing you know, I've got a book started. But you can go to Amazon and find them there. I'm usually on Friday nights with William Nighthawk on on his High Strange podcast. Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings as well. We're going to do that. Yeah, Immortal. Yeah, we're talking about possibly doing a live D&D game. We're on my YouTube channel, so I've got people wanting to play
Nice.
D&D and go live playing D&D. So I was like, all right, man, we'll be setting something up. But if you go to Rumble or YouTube and look up Nighthawk's High Strangeness, you'll find him there, and I'm usually there with him as well. For me, it's the bizarre and the unknown. I love all subjects. I'm not a researcher who focuses on one thing, and most of my stuff you'll see that I focus on the history behind these things because I think it's very important to understand the history behind what we're researching on. Because that's going to give you a better understanding of what you're going to learn now because people back then wrote about it and talked about it. It was part of life. It wasn't censored as much as it is now. So that's why I really dive into the history. I even go into the Library of Congress and pull up reports from newspaper articles from 1800s, early 1900s, and so forth, talking about this stuff. I love doing that type of thing. So I know the girl. I'll get it set up. I'll work on it this week. We'll get it set up. We'll call it the Bizarre D&D or something.
Yeah, I feel a little D&D action happening in the future. I never played Dungeons and Dragons. I never did.
Oh, I'm a barbarian dwarf.
Barbarian dwarf. Can you be a Bigfoot? I'd be a Bigfoot. A Sasquatch.
Why not make one? They don't have one in there.
I'll be an ogre lady. Okay, I don't know. Can you be a mountain giant lady? I don't know.
Yeah, they got orcs. I mean, you strike me more of the elf type. But yeah.
Elf type? I strike you more as an elf. I figured I'd look like more of an ogre.
No,
I like ogre.
You would strike me more as a wood elf than anything else. But that's just me.
Okay, well, I'll look into wood elves. I don't know. I'll see if I resonate when I go. I just always feel like more of an ogre usually. So, but I do love it. I can do I could be an ogre fairy. I'm just ogre fairy.
Yeah, I
don't know. I need to look into it. I know, right? Some gnomes, little wood elves. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here, Eric. This has been really fun, and I hope you'll come back and hang out with me again. Thank you for hanging out with me on your day off today. It means the world to me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. So it's going to be a rarity because I'm usually busy as heck this time of the day, but I'm off for Veterans Day, so I was like, yeah.
Well, happy Veterans Day, and thank you again for your service to our country and for keeping us all a little bit safer in our homes, okay, and in our home country here. In the beautiful United States of America. Okay. I appreciate you. And I appreciate your dogs too, and your cat. All your furry friends you had on here today.
Yeah, he's spoiled. I've not been home much lately because I've been busy, so he's like really up my butt right now.
Oh,
he's my little buddy.
Well, go spend some time with your furry pets and whatever else you got to do today. And you guys, please go buy Eric's books, y'all. E.D. Testerman on Amazon. You can find all of his books there. And also be sure to subscribe to The Bizarre and the Unknown on YouTube, Rumble, and all the other platforms he's on. And also Nighthawk High Strangeness with our friend William Nighthawk as well. Yeah. You guys can find them over there on the weekends. So
you also go to theartyunknown.com and it'll take you to my merch store, and every bit of artwork I have on my merchandise is stuff that I create. So that's another thing. If you want shirts or coffee mugs or drink, this one here, this is from my Viking line. Every bit of that I created. That's all on my merch store, thebizarreandtheunknown.com.
All right, thebizarreandtheunknown.com. You guys go visit there. It is Christmas time, so y'all go over there and support our friend Eric over here. All right. Okay, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for being here today. We had the best chat in the world once again. And I want to thank Maureen. Thank you for that super sticker so much. I appreciate that from you and Gus. And let's see. Let me take that down. All right. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. I will be back on, what is today? Wednesday. I'll be back on Wednesday on A Glitch in the Matrix. So you guys come back and see me again at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central on Wednesday. But until then, I will see you guys then. Eric, thanks again for being here. You are the best. Stay safe out there. Everybody, keep your
You
head on
too.
a swivel. Have a great day. Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. We appreciate and love you guys and ladies so much. And I'll see y'all Wednesday.
Peace, love, and blessings, everyone.